Welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, brought to you by TournamentPokerEdge.com, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to poker tournament strategy. Now here's your host, Clayton Fletcher.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast. I'm your host, Clayton Fletcher. Happy to bringing you another episode this week, and most of you will be absolutely thrilled to hear that I have a guest this time. The last several weeks have been solo flights, and I appreciate you guys bearing with me each and every week as I talk to myself. Not a lot of fun, but this week we have a wonderful guest, someone that I've been trying desperately to get on the program, and many of you will recognize her voice and be sorry that it's not a video podcast when I tell you our guest this week is Lexy Gavin. Hi, Lexy.
Hi, Clayton. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for finally squeezing me into your incredibly busy schedule. Well, for those who don't know, Lexy Gavin is a very accomplished tournament poker player, which is why she's on our show, obviously. Lexy had 11 cashes in this year's World Series of Poker. You heard me right, 11, and it's even more impressive when she told me she played about 25 events. That is an insanely high rate of cashes. Every single time I turned around to check on Lexy, she was like, yeah, I'm getting ready for another day two tomorrow. So you had quite a summer.
I always say that run good comes in waves. So when you're running well, just keep at it because it definitely it lasts. It comes in streaks. So yeah, I'm pretty hot right now. But obviously I expect it to change. Yeah. Hopefully not, but it always does. So
well, there is an ebb and flow, but yeah, when luck shows up, when skill is already present, then good things happen. And I think that's just what's been going on with you lately. So tell us a little bit about how you got into poker.
32 now. I got into poker 10 years ago. I went to college at Coastal Carolina in Myrtle Beach, and I was graduating. I graduated with a degree in political science, and I was supposed to go to law school. And around that time, I started playing a lot online, and I made the decision to hold off on law school and really pursue online poker because I was liking it. I had some good friends and good mentors, so I started playing quite a bit online. I started dating a pro, and he was pretty recognized online on PokerStars. So we started grinding full time, and he taught me how to mass multi-table. So like live in a casino, you're playing one table, you're seeing 30 hands an hour. I was playing 24 to 30 tables at a time, so I was seeing thousands of hands an hour. So all of that volume really helped my game. So I would go back and I would review my hands, and I would talk to people. I had a really solid crew of friends, Greg Merson, Christian Harder. We all kind of they were pretty good mentors to me. So I was doing that, and then after online poker was banned in America, I moved up to Canada to continue the online grind up there. So I moved up with a whole bunch of pros, and started playing. I was living in Toronto, and eventually, and then I moved to Montreal, and then eventually I decided to make the switch to live poker. So I moved to Vegas for a while, and I just started playing live full time.
What made you decide to leave Vegas?
So it's funny you asked. I actually had a bad accident at the Bellagio, self-inflicted. I shattered my leg in like 6 places at the Bellagio. So my dad flew out, and it sucks because I had just signed a 6-month lease at Vidara.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was horrible. Actually, that's also one of the reasons I had to leave Canada for a little while, because I broke my elbow at Greg Merson's Halloween party, like a drunken idiot.
Okay, so with both of these freak injuries, were you drunk?
Um,
Or just the one?
I was, I would say I was intoxicated for both.
Okay.
Yes.
So a little
Crazy.
accident prone when you're drinking. All right.
A little bit. Knock on wood, I haven't broken a bone since that incident. So
Okay.
yeah. So my dad flew out to Vegas and brought me home. And I was recovering in New York where I'm from. And during that time, I was going crazy. So I started getting into the underground poker scene in New York. And I started playing all of these private games. And I got into the whole culture here. And so now my home base is New York. I will be moving to Vegas in October, but my home base is New York. So I've been playing underground games for the last 5 years and just traveling for tournaments. So, earlier you said I was a tournament player. I'm actually more of a cash game player. And I've just, I travel occasionally for tournaments, but, I'm definitely more of a cash player.
Well, I mean, looking at your Hendon mob, it's easy to see why one would assume you're a professional full-time tournament player.
It's not that good. It's not that good yet. We're working on it.
When you do play, you're in the money. So, and you told me that in last year's World Series of Poker, you had kind of a similar rate of cashes.
Yeah, I did pretty well last summer as well. I got close to making a final table last summer in one of the PLO events. I think I busted in 12th. But yeah, I had some runs last summer as well.
Wow. So yeah, you have a lot of irons in the fire. You're playing in cash games. By the way, these underground cash games in New York are notoriously wild and loose, but they're also known for having like a ridiculous high rake. How do you beat that rake and make a living at it?
In the very high rate games, I won't play a high rate game unless there's a really big whale or a few whales, and usually there are multiple whales at the table. So in a game like that, you just have to kind of tighten up because all of these games are PLO as well. They're pot limit Omaha. So the variance is just insane. So the strategy is to just really tighten up, not play too many hands pre-flop. The hands that you do play, you want to play them more aggressively. And just kind of sit and wait for fish to make mistakes to you, because otherwise you will get eaten by the rake for sure.
Okay, cool. So that'll be the last cash game question. We're not supposed to talk about cash games on this podcast, but I had to know. Like, I've never met anyone that actually claimed to make a living from these over-raked games. But maybe after we hang up, you can tell me where they are, because I live in New York too.
Oh, so. for sure. I don't even know if I'm supposed to talk about the underground cash game world in general.
Oh, yeah. Well, no one's ever seen any movies about it or anything. All right. So you are, as I mentioned, a person who wears multiple hats. You also wear multiple patches. So when you sit down to play in an on-camera tournament like the main event, you're wearing all kinds of patches. So tell us real quickly about your patches and how you ended up with your various sponsorships.
Okay, so one of the patches I wear is Run Good Gear. Mm-hmm. I recently, right before the World Series, I recently became an ambassador for them. It's a poker clothing company founded by Tana. I'm sure everyone knows Tana. I can never pronounce his last name. It's something really long and hard to say. It's like Karna something. So Tana, if you're listening, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last name.
No one can. It's all right.
So they, like I said, they're a really great poker clothing company, and they have series throughout the year. They have tournament stops, and the majority of them take place around the Midwest, and they're called the Run Good Gear series, and they're so much fun. They're always themed. The last one I went to was Showbound theme, and it's just a really, really great crew. They take on 2 new ambassadors a year, and they're very family oriented. So all of the ambassadors are kind of friends, and it's a really, really great company.
And did you pursue that sponsorship, or did they come to you, or was it kind of a mutual courtship, or how exactly did that work for you?
So they sponsor the Charity Series of Poker, which is the other patch that I wear. So I was just talking with them, and we kind of just mutually agreed that I would be a good ambassador for them. So it was pretty mutual.
Yeah. So Charity Series of Poker, obviously everyone knows, who's ever listened to this show before, that I'm a huge supporter. You are vice
Yes, you
president
are.
of the
Yes,
CSOP.
yes,
Of course, we've had the president, Matt Stout, on the program before, and he told us all about that. We are trying to work out my next gig with you guys, even as we speak. So
yes,
hopefully we'll have some news about that
yes,
for everybody soon.
yep.
Yeah, no, I love combining doing something good for people and playing poker. I got to attend and participate in the Planet Hollywood event over the summer, and that was one of the highlights of my summer, actually. I just really enjoyed it.
Oh, that was so much fun. I'm so mad that I messed up recording your epic karaoke session.
Literally singing at the poker table with a
Oh my
wireless
goodness.
microphone, playing my
So much
hand like
fun.
check raising on 4th Street while belting out New York, New York.
Well,
Something I never thought I
I
would do.
remember I was across the room and I heard the song and I thought that it was someone playing a song. And then I realized, oh my God, that's Clayton singing. For everybody that is listening, you should know that Clayton is the karaoke king. And I know this because we've had a couple karaoke sessions together and he absolutely kills it. And yeah, he makes everyone look bad.
Yeah. Well, Lexi, one reason why you and I are friends is because I like poker players who don't take life too seriously and who can occasionally focus some of their brain power on something other than poker. And it seems like in your case, it's Eminem lyrics. So that
Oh my
works out
God.
when we do karaoke together. All right,
Yeah.
so let's get into poker. Well, wait, what is the other patch? There's like some kind of fitness thing. Do you still wear this?
Okay. Yes, so that's Sasquatch Strength. It's a gym, and basically it's a micro gym, so it's small and exclusive. They only have about 200 to 300 members, and it's first come first serve. And there are coaches and instructors there that are really really dedicated to helping you achieve your fitness goals. So it's more of like family type feeling. Yeah, it's just more like a smaller personal gym.
We're running out of real estate on your body to put more patches. So I guess that's
Yeah,
a good problem to have.
yeah.
You're never alone when you're at the poker table, that's for sure.
Yep.
So, yeah, well, what else do you want people to know about you before we get into some hands?
Hmm.
What about the Poker Night in America stuff? How's that going? What's happening with that?
Well, so I've played on Poker Night in America a few times, 3 or 4 times, and those are always fun. I really like doing the ladies' nights. It's just more of a laid back. It's kind of an interesting dynamic because all of the like every time I've ever played on them, I've been surrounded by friends of mine at the tables. Especially the ladies ones. The poker community, the female poker population is very small, so we all kind of know each other and we're all kind of friends. So yeah, I mean it's fun. It's fun to kind of go at it with your good friends. I remember I four bet one of my best poker girlfriends, Anna. I four bet her pretty light with Queen 4.
That's pretty
And,
light, yeah.
yeah, it's pretty light. Yeah, button versus I was on the button. She 3 bet the small blind with Queen Jack. I 4 bet her with Queen 4 of hearts, and she looked at me and she's like, "I feel like you're fucking with me," but she tank folded, and then I showed the Queen 4. So it's just fun. But yeah, I really enjoy them. I really like Todd and all that. So yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, I've been doing some commentary for them too.
Yeah.
I
So,
just
what would you say is your overall goal? I mean, obviously, aside from winning millions and billions of dollars playing poker, would you prefer to be in the broadcasting side? Do you have aspirations to be like a CEO type, and that's why you have like an executive position? Like, where do you see yourself taking your poker career in the future?
Oh, I'd really love to do it all. I had never done commentary before, and when I was in Florida, I did commentary twice. One, the first time I did it was with Jesse and Jesse Abramowitz, and we were just commentating the Poker Night in America 2550 cash game. But then they asked me to do commentary a couple nights later for the 25K high roller, and I was just like, oh my God, this is quite the jump, and I don't know if I'm really ready for this or if I'm even good at this, but I jumped in the booth, and I think it turned out to go pretty smoothly. So I really did like commentating. I can see myself doing more of that. I would like to maybe do some TV hosting or yeah, and obviously take do really well and keep playing tournaments and do really well in tournaments. And yeah. And of course, my other goal is to continue growing the charity series of poker. We're already growing so crazy fast. And it's definitely exciting. So, yep. So those are my two goals.
That's good. I love that you have a passion for all of the above, and that you always seem to be having fun at the table. Now, obviously, it's easy to have fun when you're cashing 11 times in 25 tournaments, but I've seen you right after a bust out, and you're not a person that seems to, drag the misery with you for the rest of the week or whatever. It's so important as a tournament player to have an approach where you're like, look, I'm going to go play, and I'm going to try to make good decisions at the table, understanding that only in a WSOP event, only 85% of the players will not cash, and in most tournaments, it's more like 90% of the players lose. So it always makes me sad when I see players that just can't get over it when they lose a tournament, because you're going to lose most of the tournaments you play unless you're Lexy.
Well, I know
like half of them.
I know you told me not to say that it's that I'm running good, but obviously I ran very well in the last two World Series to have had so many cashes. I mean, the first time I ever came out to the World Series, I think I was 0 for like 15, and it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So maybe that might have been an exaggeration, but it can happen. I mean, like you said, that even a professional tournament player only cashes maybe, if they're really good, maybe 20% of the time. It's more
That's
like
about right. Yeah.
Maybe 15-20% of the time. So I think that you really have to just take your emotions out of the equation. And I think that the fact that I've played so many hands online, and I've just lost, and I've just seen every possible situation, and you just become numb to losing, and you have to just understand that it's inevitable, and poker is all about the long term. And that's what,
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get into the hands. But first, I want to kind of get a general overview of your approach to the game. I think players are always interested in when they listen to this podcast to hear how different players approach the game. Like when you wake up in the morning and you're heading to the Rio to play in, say, the 1500 no limit that weekend, whatever it is, do you think to yourself what your strategy will be for that day, or do you kind of wait until you get there? Like, what's your kind of general mindset before the game even starts?
I do more of that if I'm making day 2s and day 3s. Day 1s are pretty mechanical for me. Before a tournament even starts, I make sure, and I think this is very important. I think it's very important to look over the structure, make sure you know exactly what's going on, what are the blind levels, how quickly they change, blah, blah, blah. So just get yourself mentally prepared for that. Sleep is very important. Wake up in the morning, have a normal routine, go to the gym, clear your head before you even, that's what I do before I even enter a tournament. I like to do yoga. So that's kind of what I was doing before these tournaments. And then I get to the tournament, and on day 1, I just really, in the early stages, I like to just take it slow. I definitely try and play small ball the first few levels, and then just really study my opponents, try and stay off my phone. That's I think it's been a very big leak of mine, and I'm trying to work on that. So yeah, just try and really be present and pick up player tendencies, and just play your A game as good as possible, and yeah. And then obviously once the blinds and antes get bigger, you have to widen your ranges and play more aggressively. And yeah, just not not be too tight towards once the antes increase.
So you're saying I shouldn't be staring at my phone the whole time?
Probably not.
Maybe
I remember
that's what I've been doing.
the last time we were at the table together, there was an adorably distracting dog next to me. And I was like taking selfies with the dog the whole time. So yes, don't do what I did and just put your phone away. And then we're texting each other back and forth about the dog.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't really know how I feel about them allowing animals into the poker room, but whatever.
I am all about it. I love service dog fraud. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's my favorite fraud for sure.
Yeah, I mean, everybody seems to have this important medical issue that means their little pup needs to sit on their lap for 12 hours a day. But yeah, we did happen to be at the same table in one of the WSOP events, and there was the cutest dog right in between us.
Oh God, I know. It's like snoring the whole time. I didn't even care.
Yeah, I wasn't too fond of that dog's owner, but what a great dog.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so did you pick out a hand or two to share with us today?
I have a few that we can talk about. They're not all from the World Series.
No, that's cool. Whatever you want to bring, as long as it's from a tournament.
Okay. Well, I'll start with an easy one. It's how I busted the ladies event final table. So I got 6th in the ladies event this summer, and it was pretty unfortunate because I thought that I was probably the best player left in the field. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not.
Yes, you are. We don't allow humility. Just be honest. If you were the best player, you were the best player.
Well, I don't know. That's just my opinion, but everyone thinks that they're the best player. So, but in this particular table, I thought so, and I thought that I was really excited going into the day. I didn't have that many chips. I was one of the bottom 2 short stacks, I think, or the bottom 3. I'm not totally sure. But I really thought I was going to do well. So it folded to the button opens, and I'm in the small blind with pocket 6s. And
okay, so let's back up just a little bit. So, spoiler alert, it's your bust out hand. But
yeah.
Okay, so we're at the final table of the $1,000 ladies event. Obviously, we're in the money. Do you have a sense of what the pay jumps were from here to first or here to fifth?
Yeah, well, at that point, I was guaranteed 27,000, and I believe the next pay jump was a 10K pay jump. So I believe the next one was 37, 38. I'm not totally sure on that, but the pay jumps were they were pretty significant at that point. So,
and how much was first place? Do you recall?
First was 168, I think.
Okay.
I think it was like 170, 168.
All right, great. So they got a good number of players for this tournament. Yeah. So what are the blinds and what is your stack? If you don't remember exactly, like just kind of you can estimate.
Don't even remember. I'm gonna say maybe 60,000 big blind.
Okay. So 30-60 with the 60 big blind ante. So that means there's already 150,000 in the pot.
I do think it was that. I'm not totally sure, but I remember. So button open, and I shove, and I had like 17 bigs or something like that. And she is in the tank for a while, and then she calls with ace queen, and she was second in chip. I'm sorry, I know you wanted me to not say what she had.
No, that's cool. That's fine. This is just going to be a basic flip. I mean, I think the only thing to really question about it is, do we want to be shoving 17 bigs against the button open? And I think pocket 6s with a short stack in a final table situation where there are 6 players left. I mean, unless this button never opens her button, you have to shove your 6s. I mean, I think it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah. It's I mean, I'm very I'm ahead of her opening range on the button, especially six-handed. I have all the fold equity, she's going to be assuming that I'm 3-bet shoving, ace 4 and everything. So she may be calling me with ace 5, so it's just, it's definitely a correct shove. I wanted to bring up this hand and I wasn't sure if I should even talk about this, but I'm kind of curious as to what your thoughts on this are. And, so when I was all in, and keep in mind, we're playing in the Thunderdome. This is the featured table. It was very dramatic. This is after she had finally called me and we flip our hands over. I show sixes. She has ace queen. So, actually, I'm sorry. When the woman was when the button was in the tank, she asked me, if it was, like 15 or 20K or something. And then the woman, I'm sorry. She asked me if it was, I'm forgetting what happened now. She asked me like what it was. And then the woman on my left goes, it's a little less. It's a little less. Personally, I don't think that if you're not in the hand, you should even say anything. So that was like one thing that tilted me a little bit.
Okay, let me jump in here.
I think it might have induced a call.
Okay. And of course that other woman wants the call because when you're not in the hand, you want somebody to bust out so you can jump that $10,000 more up the pay ladder. I agree with you. No one should be talking. If she asks you a question, she may even know the answer to that question and is trying to get a read on your relative hand strength based on not only your answer but how you answer.
Exactly.
So for her to jump in, she's kind of interfering with the process of players talking to each other at the table. She can ask you or she can ask the dealer. I personally get upset when the dealer answers the question. If I ask another player, how much is it? Is it 20 million? Whatever.
Yeah.
And then the dealer answers for that other player. That kind of takes away my ability to get a read. I mean, it's part of live poker. But I mean, obviously the person who chimed in had her own best interests in mind.
Yes, because like I said, the button was in the tank. I mean, she had ace queen, so in hindsight, I don't think she's ever folding. But when you hear another player say, "Oh, it's a little less," it does something. I think it does something to you. It makes you just feel like, oh, if she's saying it's less, then that word less is in my head, and then now I'm getting the right price to call or whatever. So I don't know, that I thought, just considering the circumstances too, we were on a live stream feature table, six-handed left, significant pay jumps. I thought that she had no business saying that. And I wasn't even going to bring it up, but it bothered me for like a week after this. So I wanted to. So finally she calls and we flip our hands over and she sees that I have sixes and the dealer puts out the flop and it's ace queen 4, I think. So she hits 2 pair and I just turn back to my rail and I shake my head and she puts out the turn. I brick the turn and then, so I'm thinking, all right, I have 2 outs. So then again, that same woman on my left, she goes, oh, I folded a 6. Like, what like, really? Really? So I don't know.
You don't even have 2 outs. You have half as many outs as you thought.
So my advice to the world is if you're not involved in the hand, stay out of it because especially if you're on a live stream feature table, it just kills it. So
yeah, I'll agree with that 100%. But I mean, honestly, if this woman was going to find a fold with ace queen when she had the second biggest chip stack and were you the shortest stack or second shortest?
No, I think I was the second shortest.
Yeah, I mean,
might have been third. Yeah.
I mean, if people are folding ace queen in these spots, I'm just going to get a sex change operation.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. That's I didn't mean to say I was the best player. I think that I was the most experienced player left at the table. I mean, maybe not, but
you felt confident in your ability at that table, and she doesn't need to have his hand as strong as ace queen to be opening on the button, obviously.
Exactly.
The fact that she was in the tank at all, would have made me think that she was somewhere around like king queen or ace five or something, and thinking about calling with those hands. Like to me,
Exactly.
ace queen is an automatic call. Like if you open the button and a short stack shoves with an M of 8 a 17 big blind stack in the small blind, and you're one of the big stacks, you have to take that player out. And ace queen, I mean,
sure.
It's such a no-brainer call, but I understand.
She had I think she had like over 4 million chips too, and I had about maybe 1 million or something like that. So
that sounds about right. 17 times 60. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
that irked me a lot, and I wanted to say something to her, but I didn't, and so this is kind of my way of like saying it without saying it.
We vented that out. We got it out there. Public service announcement. I think whether it's on a live stream or not, but obviously it makes it worse when other people can see you doing it. If you're not involved in the hand, generally speaking, you should keep your mouth shut. The only exceptions I can think of are if you want to call a clock on somebody. I'm a huge clock caller. Like I hate slow poker, and it needs to speed up until they institute a shot clock in every single game. I'll be the one doing it. So I don't mind if you want to call the clock on somebody. And also, if the dealer makes a mistake, like, tries to push the pot to the wrong player or doesn't see that somebody had a straight or something, like those kind of mistakes, I think that's when you can speak up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, answering somebody else's question about somebody else's stack that you're not even a part of, close your mouth. And if you folded a 6, just keep that to yourself.
Yes.
You're about to climb up to 5th place money anyway, so just be quiet until Lexi's gone.
Exactly. Oh
so
my
brutal.
God.
But let me ask you this: don't you kind of want that action? I mean, winning this flip, isn't that going to give you a big stack in the tournament?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I prefer not to be up against a flip. I'd rather her call off with something like ace five, but ace five suited or something. But I had all the fold equity, and I was ahead of her range, so it's a no-brainer shove. But
yeah. All right. Well, that's just kind of an unfortunate hand, and kind of some interesting dynamics with the other players there, and kind of maybe like an etiquette lesson that we should all learn.
Yeah.
I think especially at final tables, people that are making their first final table, maybe just getting a little too excited and not knowing that they need to be quiet.
Yeah. I almost feel bad even talking about it now. It was just so long. It's so long ago. It's over. It's dead. But it really bothered me. I remember, like, I was thinking, should I blow this person up on Twitter? And that's just not my style.
That's all right. This podcast is happy to be your place to blow it up, especially because you're not even giving the woman's name.
I'm not naming names. No.
It feels more like you're just kind of venting this for your own, mental health. So we can rename this On the Couch with Dr. Clayton. Anything else you want to tell me about that's been bothering you, Lexy?
No, we're good.
Okay, then let's do another hand.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna share my bust out hand in Florida in the $5,250 $3 million guarantee that I just made a deep run on. I'm not proud of this hand. This is a how not to play ace king hand. But so I believe I have around 16 big blinds. Again, I don't remember exact stack sizes. I don't even remember what the blinds were.
Okay, well we can put it all together. So this is the $3,500 Seminole Hard Rock. It's not
$5,250.
Oh, it's a different one. Okay.
Seminole Hard Rock, $3 million guarantee that just happened a couple weeks ago.
Okay, so it's a $5,200 buy-in, and it's a $3 million guarantee. And how far out of the water did they blow that $3 million guarantee? Like, what did the prize pool end up being?
I don't remember exactly what the prize pool was, but they definitely hit the guarantee.
Yeah, they always do. That place is poker heaven.
Yeah.
All right. So how many players are left in the tournament?
There are 16 left, and I have about 16 bigs. I had just doubled too, so I was happy and just, probably just not. Yeah, the pay jumps were so significant at that point, and so I thought that we were 2 away from a pay jump. We were guaranteed 37,000, and what I thought was the next 2 people to go was then they were guaranteed 47,000, I think. So yeah, 10K pay jump. So in the middle of this hand, another person at another table had just busted. So they hadn't updated the clock and I didn't even know. So I might have played it differently knowing that I was one away from a pay jump. But this was just, I mean, this is just a disaster hand that I played. So I open the hijack with ace king suited. I get called by Byron Caverman on the button and
Hold
the big
on.
blind.
So
Yes.
we have 16 big blinds, M of 8. I'm assuming if the big blind ante is the same. All right. And you're at an 8-handed table with 2 tables left?
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's folded to us in, you said, in the hijack?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any case to be made for just shoving?
Oh yeah, well that's mistake number one. And the reason I did is because every single player left in the field is, a superstar. They're all really good. They're all really aggressive. I had just played a few hands, so I don't think that they thought I was that tight. I don't know. So normally my standard here is to shove, but I decided to switch it up, and I kind of thought, before I even looked at my cards, I noticed one of the players on my left was grabbing chips, and he seemed really interested, so I kind of thought he was gonna raise, or if I open, maybe he'd 3-bet. So I decided to min raise, and I get called by Byron Caverman on the button and the big blind.
Okay, so now we're going to see a flop, 3-handed. Can we try to put some chip values on this? Do you kind of remember what the blinds might have been?
It's funny. I feel like it might have been 60,000 big blind again.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
tend to, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it's kind of
I'm
the
pretty
same
sure.
stack from the other hand.
Yeah, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you have roughly 1,000,000 chips,
Yeah.
and it's 30-60 with a 60 ante, and do these other 2 callers have you covered?
Yes,
Okay,
they do.
they both have us
Byron,
covered. All
yeah,
right.
Byron had a significant amount of chips, and I believe the big blind did as well.
Okay, so you opened to 120 min
Yeah,
raise.
I think I went like 140.
Okay, so let's call it 140, and then got a call on the button and from the big blind. So, just doing some quick math in my head right now, I think we're going to have an SPR of right around, like under 2. So, because
Yeah.
you got 2 callers, we're not going to have a lot of wiggle room on the flop.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So I'm telling you, everything about this hand I played incorrectly, and it's in poker you tend to only you tend to only talk about the bad beats that happened to you, or the hands that you played really well. But I think it's important to share and acknowledge that you can mess up hands too, and it's you shouldn't be embarrassed to talk about hands that you messed up,
Oh,
because
I'm definitely not. I mean, my listeners
yeah.
know that I'm always talking about hands that I wish I could do again,
Yeah.
because I mean, to me, that's how you learn. Like, number
Yeah.
one, you feel like you should have shoved, especially if everyone left in the tournament is a crusher,
Yeah.
and there are no amateurs left in the tournament. I think even with, peeking out of my peripheral vision, somebody grabbing for chips, I'm still trying to get this stack in
Yeah.
and just, increase my stack in that way. If you do get called by pocket nines or any other coin flip type of situation, I don't mind, because if I don't think I'm a favorite in the tournament anyway, then I should be shooting for taking the variance.
Right.
Like, to me, I'm willing. Like, if you told me I have, nines and I'm totally going to call you, I'll be like, okay, I'm all in. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Right.
Because
Right.
I don't know if I feel like I'm not one of the better players left, then it's probably better for me to try to win some flips. So,
Right.
and
Yeah.
our listeners will argue with me about the importance of those little pay jumps, but to me, like, I don't know, maybe I just don't value $10,000 the way I should. But to me, I'm always thinking about the pay jump between 16th and 1st, not the one between 16th and 15th
Yeah.
or whatever. It's just,
Exactly. And I think that it's one of my leaks looking at the pay jumps when I'm, like 16 away. I mean, this in this particular tournament, I think it's important to acknowledge the pay jumps because they are pretty significant, but I definitely I definitely should not I should play my game and not worry so much about it, but I do tend to tighten up around pay jumps, and I'm working on that for sure.
Are there other hands that you would have had in a shoving range here?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm shoving pocket five. Most pocket pairs I'm shoving here.
Yeah. Ace
Yeah,
queen.
I'm shoving ace queen here. I'm shoving ace king here. It's something that I'm just so like, I always shove ace king in this spot. So it's just like I said, I played every street wrong here.
Okay, so you're not happy. You're not happy with that. But when
No.
we get called in two spots,
Yeah.
I think, without you telling me yet what the flop is, I think my general plan would be to probably not continuation bet, and unless it's like the perfect flop, like 4-4 deuce, I might put
Yeah.
out a little c bet because I'm the only one who's supposed to have anything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it would just be, well, I wish I would have shoved, but now that I missed the flop, I'm
Right.
just going to check. And then by
Yeah.
the same token, if we hit the flop, I think we just have to be willing to go broke because we just don't have enough stack to bet fold, at that
Sure.
point.
I think that also one of the reasons that I did decide to raise here instead of shove is because I was so card dead for like so much of the day, and I picked up a few hands, a few premiums that I did open shove, and I got fold. So and you're like I shouldn't have let it affect this decision, but I didn't want to maximize my fold equity with such a strong hand, and I was just sick of everyone folding. I don't know if my perceived image is really tight. I don't think it is, but maybe it was at this particular table. So
Yeah.
I think I was just fed up. So
Yeah.
like I said, yeah. So I opened.
We're only human. We're only human.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the flop?
So the flop is ace 9-4 rainbow. Totally perfect.
Okay. Yeah,
Love it.
I don't see any situation where I'm going to be laying down my ace king now. So
Yeah.
it's just a question of how much are we going to bet? I'm assuming the big blind checks.
Well, big blind checks, and here's mistake number two. I decide to check.
Okay.
I thought it's just such a dry board. Like, if I were heads up, I think it's more acceptable to check, but because I was three-handed, I think a c-bet here is just the only way to go. So like, I should have c-bet something small, like a third pot or something, maybe quarter pot. But I decided to check to trap, and it checks around.
Okay, so it's ace 9-4 with two hearts, you said?
No, rainbow.
Oh, rainbow. Okay. I mean, I don't really hate the check because your stack is such that you should be able to bet and get it all in.
Right.
So I don't hate it, but personally, I would just, not get tricky in this
Yeah.
situation. I mean, we're so close to pot commitment anyway. You might as well just put out a normal size bet, like a little less than half the
Exactly.
pot, and get committed to this.
Right.
You're probably not going to get incredible amounts of action unless one of your opponents hit the flop, which is hard to do without an ace.
Right.
So maybe you get one call from 10-9, but
Right.
checking now doesn't change the fact that you're only getting one call from middle pair, and you're never going to get a fold from top pair. So you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, I would just go ahead and bet,
Yeah.
or bet, whichever it takes to get the rest of the stack in.
Yeah, I didn't want them to think like, cause like I was so short pre-flop, and c-betting. I thought that if I did c-bet that they would just assume that I had an ace, that I would never be c-betting with my stack into two people without one. So, that's part of the reason I decided to check. So
Yeah, but let's explore that, okay? I mean, that's an interesting, thought that you have there. So the fear of betting is that you're going to lose everybody when you have such a strong hand for the situation.
yeah,
And that you don't think that they're going to think that you think they'll never put you on a bluff or
Right.
not having an ace anyway. Like they don't think you would see bet pocket queens.
right,
Right.
exactly. And I
and-
wouldn't. If I had kings or queens, I'd be checking this flop.
Right. Right.
So-
So that helps them to maybe get bold and come after this pot when they don't have an ace. So, I mean, that is a reason to do it. But I guess my thinking is the amount of bluffing into two opponents that I see is so low anyway. Like, I don't expect either one of these guys to really, like, come after this pot. without an ace.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a bet. You just want to bet.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. So does it check around?
It checks around, yeah.
Okay.
And the turn is a 9. So it's
Okay.
ace 9 for turn 9.
Okay.
I believe it brings a flush draw. So big blind leads out for maybe a third pot, and I call, and Byron raises.
Okay, so when it's on me, he bets a third of the pot on the turn.
Yeah.
So
Like,
I mean, I'm never folding ace king,
no, of course
obviously, and also like every solver in the world will tell the big blind to lead out when the middle card pairs. Like that is like a standard
Yes.
spot. Like he's the only one at this table that's supposed to have a 9, right? So,
right.
And especially,
well, we could all have 9s, but I do like leading out when the board pairs, in that situation for sure.
Well, how many 9s do you have when you min raised off of 16 big blind stack? Like I don't think you have a lot of 9s in your range.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess I.
But him calling, getting great pot odds, he should have a lot of 9s.
Yeah, I guess I'm opening king 9 suited and 9-10 suited, and probably in the hijack once it folds to me, I think.
I agree with that. Those are a couple of 9s you could have.
Yeah.
Right.
And Byron could have a 9. So.
Yeah, I mean he's on the button, facing a min raise, so he can have a pretty wide calling range, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the player most likely to have a 9. Given everything, all other things being equal, is got to be our big blind in this hand because he was the one who was getting the best price to call before the flop. So he should be calling with almost any 2 cards given the price. Right. So I would suggest that he doesn't have to have a 9, but the solvers all know that he should have the most 9s. So this is the best card for him to lead as a bluff. Yeah, it's also of course good for him to lead when he has a monster. So,
yes, absolutely.
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in your shoes, I would call. And now, Caverman, does he raise big, small, or medium?
I believe it wasn't too big. It was maybe 3x the raise, maybe 3.5.
All right. Yeah. So let's say it was about 3.5. So obviously, it's committing you if you continue. Does the big blind call the raise?
No, the big blind doesn't. The big blind folds. And what would you do in this situation?
I mean, I hate when people say as played, right? But I don't think I would end up in this situation.
I know.
To be honest. But we just have too many chips in there. If the turn brought a flush draw, and there's any chance that he has one.
Yeah.
I just think ace king, it's just too exploitable for you to bet or to call and then fold here. I mean, him raising 2 opponents does show a lot of strength. And as you mentioned, he could have a 9. He could also have flopped a set and decided to check it because it was such a dry flop. He could really have us drawing dead here. But because we know Byron Caverman is capable of a lot of things, I don't think I'm not capable of folding ace king if I played it this way. I mean, you slow played it because you wanted to get action.
Of course.
And now we got action, and now we're gonna fold when we already got.
So what do you? No, yeah, of course not fold. But so do you call or shove?
It doesn't matter. I mean, either one commits us to the pot.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess because we want him to be bluffing, I think I would shove regardless because a lot of his bluffs are like combo draws that he might have picked up, or
Well, the only draw really is a flush draw.
It's ace 9-4. So if he had like a 5-3 and now picked up a flush draw to go with it, then he's got like a gut shot flush draw combo. I guess that's the only one though. There aren't that many, like you said. I mean, he could have a 9 for sure. He could have better than a 9 for sure. But it's just this is a brutal spot.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in folding. And I think that making him have to pay when he does have a flush draw is better than calling and then having to check call when another heart comes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just an ugly spot to be in. I'm not happy, but I'm all in.
Right. Yeah. So I shoved, and he has the 9-8, and I bust in 16th. So that was unfortunate. And like I said, I wasn't aware that the person, like the guy at the next table, had literally just busted like that same hand. So it was, it was just a crappy situation. And
so that matters because we missed a pay jump by one or something. Yeah, but Lexy, we didn't really.
Pay jump.
Yeah, but it's important to understand though. I mean, this hand should have been all in, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Regardless of pay jumps. Yeah, I'm wondering if you're right about you paying. I know that I don't pay enough attention to pay jumps, but I'm wondering if you might have a point about how you maybe pay too much attention to pay jumps.
Yeah.
Because no, obviously if we shove, like results oriented thinking here, he's probably not going to call the shove with 9-8, right?
Right.
I'm surprised he didn't bet it on the flop, to be honest. I think in his shoes, flopping middle pair, I probably would have put out a bet. So I'm surprised that he's the one who ended up having a 9. Although being the raiser, I get it.
Yeah, I don't love betting in his spot. There's really no point. He wants to try and take it down, try and take it to showdown, and this way he can pot control and call a bet on the turn. So
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Tell me why, because I guess my case for betting the 9 in position there is because I don't like any turn cards other than the one that ends up coming.
Yeah, I guess protection is the argument. I mean, if you think you're getting called by worse, then you can bet. I guess because he had such a bad kicker, betting here is good. If he had something like King 9, I'd probably be more inclined to check.
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting called by worse. I think I need to bet to just finish the hand and not get outplayed later.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't hate checking, but I'm surprised that Byron, in particular, didn't bet that card. It worked out for him because he ended up, hitting gin on the turn, and then, getting action from Ace King, which was well disguised. It's all. I try not to be too results oriented. So it doesn't really matter that he wouldn't have called pre-flop if you just shoved the hand.
Right. Yeah.
There is a case to be made. Like Ace King is the fourth highest rated starting hand. So do you want to just shove and have everybody fold again? Like I can see why you don't want that to happen. You decided to gamble with it a little bit, but yeah, I guess if we bet the flop, Byron's probably going to call, and then when the 9 comes on the turn, you're probably going to end up getting broke anyway.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Really I mean, it kind of plays. I mean, it's probably the same result either way because, like you said, he's probably not folding the flop to one bet. So I don't know. It's just if I shove pre-flop, I'm getting folds and would still be alive in the tournament. So.
Yeah. It's always fun to think about your tournaments in that way. Like, what is the scenario that would have led me to the trophy?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I can see regretting not shoving, but I do think there is a case to be made for the min raise that you did. I don't think it's a terrible play. I have such a wide shoving range with 20 big blinds or less, especially with the large big blind ante.
Yeah.
It's well worth just picking that pot up and not even minding action. Like you might get action from much worse, like ace jack or ace queen. Most of us call with those hands.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think there's a really strong case to be made for shoving, but I don't really hate the min raise idea. Right. I definitely would have bet the flop, but again, somebody has a 9, that person's just going to get my stack. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
We're too short to be making hero folds here.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm at the top of my range here, so.
Yeah, you really are, especially the way you disguised it too.
Right.
So what's next for Lexy Gavin? Any more run good trips coming up?
I am going to be doing one of the run good stops this season. I haven't fully decided. They have tournaments coming up in Downstream Casino. So yeah, I'll definitely be doing one of those. I think I'm going to focus on making my move out to Vegas. I'm currently looking at apartments and houses to rent. So I'll be setting up shop over there. I have a lot of charity series of poker events coming up. We're doing an event. We're actually doing an event on Thursday in Schenectady, New York at Rivers Casino for Habitat for Humanity.
That's Thursday the 29th of August? All right. That's probably going to be the day before this comes out. So.
Oh, okay. So never mind to that.
What's the next one after the Schenectady event?
So we have an event on October 11th. That one is for the Raiders. I'm sorry, wait. We have 2 events coming up. The October 11th is Reno. We're doing Folded Flag Foundation, and then October 24th we're doing the Raiders Foundation in Vegas. So. Yeah, we have so many events coming up. We have one coming up for Mickey's Miracles. So there's a lot of events. So I'm just trying to get over to Vegas so that I can start setting up my life there, and that's where Charity Series of Poker needs me. So that's where I'm going to be. And I was considering playing the WPT at Borgata in September. So I have a lot of options. I'm not totally sure. I'm not a planner when it comes to poker. I kind of just see what I'm feeling and then go. Thinking just Vegas is where I'm going to head next, probably in a week, right after the CSOP event upstate.
Well, it's sad for me that you won't be close to where I live anymore, but
I know.
At least that means there'll be a seat open in those juicy cash games you mentioned. So maybe.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Maybe I can start jumping into your spot there.
Yeah, I can definitely hook you up.
Yeah. So where can people find out more about the Charity Series of Poker?
You can go to charityseriesofpoker.org and check out our website. You can also follow us on Twitter at the CSOP and Instagram Charity Series of Poker. And you can also like us on Facebook, the Charity Series of Poker.
There you go. They're all over social media.
Over.
Lextasea, which is spelled Lextasea. Lextasea on Instagram. She is a great follow. She's a very active Instagrammer. She loves to keep everybody posted about all of her numerous deep runs in all of these different tournaments. And even when she busts out right before a pay jump, she tweets about it, or she puts up an Instagram story about it with a smile on her face. And that's one thing I've always appreciated about you. It's not all doom and gloom when you win like a 5K score, a 5-figure score. You're not crying about it. You're just like, well, maybe next time I'll win the trophy. And I'm sure that'll happen. I mean, you keep getting so close. I'm sure you've got some more, a very bright future in the game.
Thank you.
Anything else you want people to know before we say goodbye?
No, that's really it. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChipTrick11.
ChipTrick11.
Yes. And no, I guess that's really it. I had fun. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, it's a pleasure having you here on the podcast as a first-time guest. So for Lexy Gavin and for everyone here at Tournament Poker Edge, I'm Clayton Fletcher. Thank you so much for listening.
Like they do in Texas plays. Fold 'em, let 'em hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me. Luck and intuition, play the cards with babes to start. And after she's been hooked, I'll play the one that's on her heart. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'll get her heart, show her what I got. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'll get her heart, show her what I got. Can't read mine, no she can't read a mile. Poker face, she's got to love nobody. Can't read mine, no she can't read a mile. Poker face, she's got to love nobody. Poker face, poker face. Poker face, poker face. I wanna roll with her, a hard pair we will be. While little gambling is fun when you're with me. I love it. Russian roulette is not the same without a gun. And baby, when it's love, if it's not rough, it isn't fun. Oh, whoa.